just what they'll do. One of these days, these boots are gonna walk all over you.
Doom, 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 doom. She don't. Doom, doom, doom. You keep saying. Oh no, it's part. Turn around. You keep saying when you should. Oh, be lying when you be truthing. You keep losing when you ought to not bet. This is gonna be weird. You keep shaming when you ought to be changing. And what's right is right, but you ain't been right yet. These boots were made for walking, and that's just what they'll do. One of these days, these banks are gonna walk all over. Doom, 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 doom. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, I'm not doing that pose. They on their back. You keep thinking, son. You keep playing where you shouldn't be playing. You keep thinking that you'll never get burned. Ha! I just bought me a brand new pair of matches. Yeah. All right, I gotta fix this. What you know, you ain't got time to learn. We've been watching the banks for a long time. You ain't caught up what the hell's going on. Turn off that news before they walk on over. Doom, doom, doom. All right, let me stop playing. I have to fix this. I have no idea. I have so much I have to fix. I've rebuilt this whole system right here. So, are you ready, Boots? Oh, look at it. I can do that one. I cannot do that with her feet. All right, I'm having fun. Let me stop. I'm gonna stop having fun. Let me get ready. I'm gonna get serious. I had to rebuild everything, so it's gonna take me a minute. Where's the title? It's gonna take me a minute. Good morning, everybody. I had to rebuild all of this stuff. Finally got my system back up and going. We may do a after party. So I guess that's how we'll do this. I'm trying to see what'll happen, but we'll do an after party afterwards. Then we'll do like a panel, bring people on if they want to come on. Name of this, which the title ain't even showing. I have no idea how to fix that. They updated all the software. Cluelessly go where no cyborg has gone before. That's going to be the name of this video right here. Because we're going clueless, and we should not be going clueless. Now let's see if I can get the Facebook stuff working. Let me bring up comments here real quick. Good morning, everybody. How y'all doing this morning? Oh, we could talk about so much. We could talk about so much. It's really starting to be revealed that this really was it was not well, they're going to tell you that it was a reset needed because of the virus. That's not what happened. It was a bank reset needed because of a virus. In reality, currency reset could need because of a virus. That's not what happened. The bank had to reset, so they needed a virus. And that's becoming more and more obvious. I have an investment banker I was listening to this morning. We could listen to that if you want to listen to that. As soon as I got to fix this thing, I don't know what the hell is going on. Where are my animations at, man? I don't even see my comments. Everything got discombobulated, bumped around, and rebuilt. Let me see if I can fix this. I got to just give me a minute here. Actually, no, I should just put on. Amazing, you're such a tech savvy person. Sandra Collage, you supposed to wait till after I fix it to say that. You should have waited till I'm done, Sandra. I don't even know I'm gonna fix it. They changed everything. I can't even get the comments in. I don't see the comments. I don't see. Don't congratulate somebody till they fix something. Sandra, I haven't fixed nothing. They changed everything on me. And I'm trying to fix it. The title, Sandra, do you see a title? I don't even see the I can't even fix the title. Hold on. Let me try to bring YouTube in. Facebook, look, no Facebook animation, no Facebook comments. Let me try to at least do the YouTube comments. Maybe it'll come in. Let me see, the currency was resetting before the virus. The OPEC production conflict with Russia was the final straw. Gone. I don't know nothing about the OPEC production, Bofont, but you're on it, right? The reset was coming. They told us about the reset a long time ago. And if you weren't paying attention, then you're gonna fall Well, you already fell for the virus, number one. And two, you're going to fall for the idea that they need to reset the currencies. You need to lose your savings and retirement so they can take you into the next scam, which is to put you into a cyborg relationship with the Neuralink and give you your cures so they can utilize you for whatever they want to use you for. We are going boldly where no cyborg has cluelessly gone before, and that's probably a bad idea. They're literally creating a slave plantation out of the entire earth. I was telling somebody, one of my Trump friends this morning, I think I like the new saying is to make America break again. Because it needs to break. You need to break it like some dishes, but we need to take care of people before it breaks. I'm hoping and praying and meditating that Donald Trump is the absolute last president of the United States Incorporated. The whole damn thing needs to break. You either go back to being a republic or just go be free people. This whole facility worldwide is owned by 13 families, Rothschild, Rockefellers, people own every damn thing. Yeah, I don't see anything. I don't see anything. Yep, and that social credit score, damn it, Patricia Housing. So I don't know. I'm gonna try one more thing. See if I can bring in the comments in the animation. Let me do something. Remove that. I had to change all the software, and that jacked everything up. They changed the whole suite. Crazy stuff was happening. This is why, Sandra, you should not congratulate me. Wait till the baby walks first, and then you say, "Good walking, baby. You did a good job." Make America wild again. Yes, Christine, because America was great again, just people disagree on when that was. America was very great. Like I posted this thing. Did y'all see what I posted? What did we run into? This, I can show it to you. They found in Chichen Itza, in the Warriors Temple, a plaque where they painted the Celtic warriors, African warriors, and Mayan warriors all in the war. Y'all remember that war? Does anybody remember the war when the Celtic and the Mayans and the Africans fought? Don't nobody remember the war. Why? Because the victors always write history. That's why. The victors always write history. And so we don't remember the war. Okay. So I did everything that I could. On that. And I don't know if I can do anything else. Either these comments and animations will work or they won't, or it'll be really weird looking at myself instead of seeing y'all's comments up here instead of over there. I appreciate your patience. I'm just flipping buttons and I'm hoping to see a comment or something coming. I'm not even seeing YouTube. Man, they changed everything. Why do people gotta touch stuff? It ain't broke, don't fix it. Ah, this is weird. All right. Well, all right, let me try to do this. I do want to show you some banking information. I need an investment bank. I thought maybe while we're waiting that'll come up. Anyway, good morning, everybody. How y'all doing this morning? I think how we'll do it, like I said, is we'll do an after party panel. And if anybody wants to hang on afterwards, that's what we'll do, a panel. You want to come on, say something, tell me I was totally wrong, tell me I was right, tell me I got too many fruit flies in my office. Tell me anything you want to tell me. I was almost not vegetarian this morning again. I was out eating my beans. That's what I eat for breakfast because I'm saving grandma. So I eat raw, healthy breakfast every morning. I go out in my garden. I eat I'm up to eating like 4 bean pods now. And there was a bug on one of them, and I was about to bite it. He was looking at me. I took a picture of him. I did a video. I say stuff, you're like, that didn't really happen. You make a lot of stuff. Listen, I got the video. I'll post it later. And the bug was looking at me. I don't know what it was. It might have been an aphid, but it was moving a little fast to be an aphid. And I wanted to bite the bean, and usually I just pick the beans and I just eat them because I'm saving grandma. And so I saw him this time, and so I was trying to wait for him to get off, and I was kind of shooing, trying to get him off the tip of the bean. He finally crawled up to my finger, and I ate him. And then so I'll add that to the whole white fly diet that I have. Almost ate him this morning. Let me try to do this. Let me see if I can even show you my thread. That would be interesting. Ooh, wait, I got a backup method. Hold on, wait. Let's try this. Let's try the backup method. Man, they changed everything. This sucks. The backup method for comments. Cause I feels so weird doing this and I don't see comments in front of me. Let's see what happens when I do that. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm not sure it's gonna work well, but the comments are right there. Okay, there you go. Poor piggy. No, the piggy was not poor, Christ. I did not eat the bug. He got away. He didn't get away any other day. He got away this morning. He or she. Anyway. Dang it, this is gonna be weird. I have stuff I want to play for you, and I can't do that with the comments. I have no idea how we're gonna do this. We'll figure it out. Listen, Jesus has come in and saved us with the aliens to come in to do something. Let me ask y'all a question as I change the music and I try to get used to my own format that I forgot how to do because I haven't done it in 2 days. It's the end of the world. Unprecedented times, people. Okay? Unprecedented times. This is the excuse for everything right now. Works with your boss, works with your husband, might work with your wife. I don't know, you want to check. Good work with your kids. Just say unprecedented times for everything. That's all I do. Anytime somebody get mad at me, unprecedented times. But we are certainly boldly going where no man's gone before. Let me ask y'all a question. I was thinking about aliens a minute ago because I'm always thinking. They ain't never visited me. They visit my friends and stuff. They ain't never visited me. This whole idea that aliens use grunts and silences, the stuff that we call language. I don't think that they do. I don't think that they do. I was listening to Elon Musk, and he was talking about his the new Neuralink, right? And he says within 5 to 10 years, nobody will talk anymore because it'll be too inefficient. That we'll just be transferring data back and forth. And it's just like, I seriously doubt aliens, if they're like 1,000,000 years in, if they're 1,000 years ahead of us. What are the odds that they use grunts and spaces and silence with these things? I want to actually show you that because I don't know how this is gonna work. I have no idea. Hold on. If I do that, I come over here, the comments go away, and yeah, I don't know how I'm gonna do it. We'll figure it out. Let's just work with it. Bear with me. Bear with me. Great song. It is a great song, Dad. These boots were made for walking, and that's just what they'll do. One of these days, these banks are gonna walk all over cyborgs. Can you hear that? Let's see if we can make this work. Is that volume where it needs to be? I can come here.
What exactly is it? How do you do what happens?
The Joe Rogan experience.
Fundamentally.
Well, let's talk about what you can talk about to what Neuralink is, because the last time you were here, you really couldn't discuss it. And then there was a press release, something that sort of outlined.
Yeah, sure.
That happened quite a bit after the last time you were here. So what exactly is it? How do you do what happens if someone ultimately does get a Neuralink installed? What will take place?
Well, for version 1 of the device, it would be it basically implanted in your skull. So, but it would be flush with your skull. So you basically take out a chunk of skull, put the Neuralink device in there. You put the electrode. You'd insert the electrode threads very carefully into the brain, and then you stitch it up, and you wouldn't even know that somebody has it. So then it can interface basically anywhere in your brain. So it could be something that helps cure, say, eyesight, like returns your eyesight, even if you've lost your optic nerve type of thing.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. Hearing, obviously. Pretty much anything that it could, in principle, fix almost anything that is wrong with the brain, and it could restore limb functionality. So if you've got interface into the motor cortex, and then an implant that's that's like a microcontroller in your muscle groups, you could then create a sort of a neural shunt that restores somebody who's a quadriplegic to full functionality. Like they can walk around, be normal.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So
maybe slightly better.
Slightly better?
Over time, yes.
You mean with future iterations?
Like the $6 million man. Although
Right.
these days that's
That's
not
pretty
much.
cheap.
Yeah. Yeah.
$6 billion man.
Yeah.
So the hole would be small. How big would the hole be that you have to drill and then replace with this piece? It's only one hole?
Well, yeah, the device we're working on right now is about an inch in diameter. And your skull's pretty thick, by the way. So skulls are...
Mine is, for sure.
It might actually literally be. I mean, if you're a big guy, your skull is actually fairly thick. Skull is like 7 to 14 millimeters. So
Mine's probably a couple of inches.
a half inch, half inch thick skull ish. So that's a fair bit of like we got quite a coconut going on there. It's not like some eggshell.
Oh yeah, I believe you.
So you basically implant the device.
And so it would be like a 1 inch square, or 1 inch in diameter.
Yeah, like
So an inch circle, like a circular.
I think like a smartwatch or something like that, or
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, so you take this 1 inch diameter, like ice fishing, right? You ever go ice fishing?
No, but I'd like to.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's really fun.
Yeah.
So you basically take an auger and you drill
Right. You take-
through the surface of the ice.
Yeah.
And you create a small hole, and
Yep.
you can dunk your line in there. So this is like that. You're ice fishing on the top of your skull, and then you cork it.
Yeah, and you replace that, say 1 inch diameter piece of skull with this Neuralink device, and that has a battery and a Bluetooth and a inductive charger, and then you also got to insert the electrodes. So the electrodes are very carefully inserted with our robot that we developed. That looks very carefully putting in the electrodes and avoiding any veins or arteries, so it doesn't create trauma.
So through this 1 inch diameter
Yeah,
device, electrodes be inserted, and they will find their way.
like tiny wires, basically.
Tiny wires.
Tiny wires.
And they'll find their way to specific areas of the brain to stimulate.
No, you literally put them where they're supposed to go.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you insert
How
them.
long will these wires be?
I mean, they usually go in depending on where it is, like 2 or 3 millimeters.
So they just find the spots.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then then you put the device in, and that gets that replaces the little piece of skull that was taken out, and then you stitch up the hole, and you just have a little scar, and that's it.
Will this
And then
be replaceable or reversible?
Yes.
Like if someone can't take it
Yeah,
anymore?
yeah, you can
I'm
take-
too
take-
smart. I can't take it.
yeah, you can totally take it out.
And what is besides restoring limb function and eyesight and hearing, which are all amazing, is there any cognitive benefits that you anticipate from something like this?
Yeah, I mean, you could for sure. I mean, basically, it's a generalized sort of thing for fixing any kind of brain injury. In principle, like if you've got like severe epilepsy or something like that, it could just sort of stop the epilepsy from occurring. Like it could detect it in real time and then fire a counter pulse and stop the epilepsy. I mean, there's a whole range of brain injuries. Like if somebody gets a stroke, they could lose the ability to speak. That could also be fixed. So if you've got like stroke damage, or if you lose, say, muscle control over part of your face or something like that. I think, and then when you get old, you tend to, if you get like, Alzheimer's or something like that, then you lose memory, and this could help you with, restoring your memory, that kind of thing.
Restoring memory. And what is happening that's allowing it to do that? Like the wires, these small wires,
Yeah.
stimulating these areas of the brain, and then is it that the areas of the brain they're losing some sort of electrical force? Like what is happening?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like think of it like a bunch of circuits, and there's some like circuits that are broken, and we can like fix those circuits. It's a substitute for those circuits.
And so a specific frequency will go through this.
Yeah, it's just
Specific in that is the process figuring out how much or how little has to be, how much these areas of the brain have to be juiced up?
Yeah, I mean, there's still a lot of work to do. So when I say, we've got a shot at probably putting it in a person in, within a year, I think that's exactly what I mean. I think we have a chance of putting input in someone and having them be healthy and restoring some functionality that they've lost.
The fear is that eventually you have to cut the whole top of someone's head off and put a new top with a whole bunch of wires if you want to get, the real turbocharged version, the P100.
So, remember we did this video a while ago, right? And what I'm trying to do is refer back to what we already know and tie it in with what's happening right now, right? So, add this with the idea, so we've always been cyborgs, right? But add this with what they want to do with the cure, right? The whole luciferase tying in, having access to the human being at a cellular level, tied in with the whole RFID chip, social credit score, creating a cyborg, controlling your muscles through neurons. Like, maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me. But I'm seeing a bigger picture. Right? I'm seeing a much bigger picture when you tie in what's happening today with what was revealed back then. So just keep listening and listen to what you know of, like, the solution, the cure. Because I think when they say cure, I don't think that we're all talking about the same thing. I think you're thinking about a cure for a virus, and I think they're thinking about a cure for what they want.
D of brain stimulation.
I mean, ultimately, if you want to go with full AI symbiosis, you'll probably want to do something like that.
Symbiosis is a scary word when it comes to AI.
It's optional.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
It's just, once you enjoy the Dr. Manhattan lifestyle, once you become a god, it seems very, very unlikely you're going to want to go back to being stupid again. You literally could fundamentally change the way human beings interface with each other.
Yes.
Yes.
You wouldn't need to talk.
I'm so scared of that, but so excited about it at the same time. Is that weird?
Yeah, I think this is one of the paths to, think like what are, like AI is getting better and better. So now let's assume it's sort of like a benign AI scenario. Even in a benign scenario, we're kind of left behind. We're not along for the ride. We're just too dumb.
Right.
So how do you go along for the ride? It's like you can't beat them, join them. So, and we're already a cyborg to some degree, right? Because you've got your phone, you've got your laptop,
glasses.
You got your electronic devices.
Yeah.
Today, if your phone, if you don't bring your phone along, it's like you have missing limb syndrome. It's like.
Turn the mute off because I don't want you hearing me crunching and stacking drinking stuff. No, I was talking to Sandra. Sandra said, she hopes that I'm wrong. I think this is the way the world has always gone. I don't think we're in control is what they've always wanted.
Feels like something's really, really missing. So we're already partly partly a cyborg or an AI symbiote, essentially. It's just that the data rate to the electronics is slow. So, especially output, like you're just going with your thumbs. I don't know, like, what's your data rate? Maybe optimistically 100 bits per second. That's being generous. And now the computer can communicate at like 100 terabits. So certainly, gigabits are trivial at this point. So this is like, basically your computer could do things a million times faster. Or at a certain point, it's like the AI is like talking to a tree. Okay, just boring. You can talk to a tree. It's not very entertaining. So if you can solve the data rate issue and especially output but input too, then you can improve the symbiosis that is already occurring between man and machine.
So you can improve it in when you said you won't have to talk to each other anymore. We used to joke around about that. I've joked around about that a million times in this podcast, that one day in the future there's going to come a time where you can read each other's minds.
Yeah.
And
well,
you'll be able to interface with each other in some sort of a non-verbal, non-physical way where you will transfer data back and forth to each other without having to actually use your mouth and make noises.
Exactly. So what happens when let's say you've got some complex idea that you're trying to convey to somebody else, and how do you do that? Well, your brain spends a lot of effort compressing a complex concept into words, and there's a lot of loss, information loss that occurs when compressing a complex concept into words. And then you say those words are then interpreted, then they're decompressed by the person who is listening, and they will at best get a very incomplete understanding of what you're trying to convey. It's very difficult to convey a complex concept with precision because you've got compression, decompression. You may not even have heard all the words correctly, and so communication is difficult. What we have here is a failure to communicate. Cool Aunt Luke.
Yes, and there's a great movie.
Yeah, great movie.
And there's an interpretation factor too. Like you can choose to interpret certain series of words in different ways, and they're dependent upon tone, dependent upon social cues, even facial expressions, sarcasm. There's a lot of variables.
Sarcasm is difficult.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that I've said is like that there could be potentially a universal language that's created through computers that particularly young kids would pick up very quickly. Like my kids do TikTok and all this jazz, and I don't know what they're doing. They just know how to do it, and they know how to do it really quickly. Like they learn really quickly, and they show me how to edit things. And it's if you taught a child from first grade on how to use some new universal language, I mean essentially like a Rosetta Stone, and something that's done that interprets your thoughts, and you can convey your thoughts with no room for interpretation, with very clear, where you know what a person's saying and you can tell them what you're saying, and there's no need for noises, no need for mouth noises, no need for these sort of accepted ways that we've sort of evolved to make sounds that we all agree. We through our cultural dictionary and we agree, or certain we could bypass all that.
Yeah, you can still do it for
fun,
sentimental reasons,
right? Like campfires.
Yeah, exactly. You don't need campfires. You don't need to roast marshmallows. It's kind of fun,
right?
I think you would, in principle, be able to communicate very quickly and with far more precision ideas, and language would. I'm not sure what would happen to language, but you could probably, with a situation like this, that you would be able to you'd be kind of like the Matrix. You want to speak a different language in a phone,
right?
That's why we're just downloading the program.
Right. So, at least for the first few iterations, We'll just be able to use, like, I know that Google has some of their Pixel buds have the ability to interpret languages in real time. Like,
Sure.
Yeah, you can hear it, and it'll play things back to you in whatever language you choose. So to be something along those lines.
Email sent. Attachment downloaded. Hey Google, pause Wi-Fi for the kids. Computer charts going up and down. Funny text read. Oh, it's too funny.
This is an RX bar, made with a handful of ingredients that are all there for a reason. Need another reason? Tell your inner child it tastes like a PBJ cut into triangles, no crust. RX bar, simple good.
Lines
Yeah.
for the first few iterations.
Well, the first few iterations are, what I'm talking about is like in the limit over time, with a lot of development. The first few iterations, really in the first few versions, all we're going to be trying to do is solve brain injuries. So it's like, don't worry that it's not going to sneak up on you. This will take a while.
How many years before you don't have to talk?
If the development continues to accelerate, then maybe like 5 years, 5 to 10 years.
That's quick. That's really quick.
That's the best case scenario.
No talking anymore in 5 years.
Best case scenario. But 10 years more like it.
I've always speculated that aliens could potentially be us in the future, because if you look at like the size of their heads and the fact that they have very little muscle and they don't use their mouth anymore, they have this tiny little. The archetypal alien that you see in like Close Encounters of the Third Kind, they're like, if you went from like Australopithecus or ancient hominid to us, what's the difference? Less hair, less muscle, bigger head, and then you just keep going. 1,000, 1,000,000, whatever year, or 5 years, whatever happens when Neuralink goes online, and then we slowly start to adapt to this new way of being, where we don't use our muscles anymore. We have this gigantic head. We can talk without words.
You could also save state. And
Save state?
Save state, like save your brain state, like a save game in a video game.
Whoa. like if you want to swap from Windows 95
Well,
to like
yeah,
you.
probably a little better than that, but yeah.
I think we are Windows 95 right now.
Yeah. From a future perspective, probably.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you could save state and restore that state into a biological being if you wanted to in the future. In principle, there's like nothing like from a physics standpoint that prevents this. Now, you'd be a little different, but then you're also a little different when you wake up in the morning from yesterday, and you're a little different. In fact, if you say like you 5 years ago versus you today, is quite a big difference.
Yes.
So you'd be substantially you. I mean, you'd certainly think you're you.
But the idea of saving yourself and then transforming that into some sort of a biological state, like you could hang out with 30-year-old you.
I mean, the possibilities are endless.
That's so weird.
I mean, just think like how your phone you can record videos on your phone. Like, there's no way you could remember a video
Right.
as accurately as your phone or a camera, could. So, if you've got like some version 10 Neuralink, whatever, far in the future, you could recall everything, but just like it's a movie,
Crystal clear.
Including the entire sensory experience,
Emotions.
everything, and play it back. And
Do you think you'll be able to
you can
share?
edit it.
Edit it.
Yeah,
So you can change your past?
you could change what you think was your past. Yeah,
Well, so if you had like a
this
traumatic
whole thing
experience,
right now could be a replayed memory.
It could be.
Yeah.
It may be. What's the odds of this being a replayed memory? If you had to guess. It's more than 50%.
There's no way to assign a probability with accuracy here.
Right, but roughly. If you just had a gut instinct.
Well, I don't have a Neuralink in my brain, so I'd say right now 0%. But at the point at which you do have a Neuralink, then it rises above 0%.
All right, bye. Okay, goodbye. Look at that. Got the room to myself. Nice job there, Derek. Oh, no, seriously, you did great. Yeah, it looks really good. Did you get a cut or did you do something to it? No.
We want to make this a more peaceful world.
What's part of the plan?
I know you won't fail us.
The idea that we're experiencing some sort of a preserved memory is, even though it's still the same, it's not comforting, right? For some reason, when people talk about simulation theory, they talk about the potential for this currently being a simulation. Even though your life might be wonderful, you might be in love, you might love your career, you might have great friends, but it's not comforting to know that this experience somehow or another doesn't exist in a material form that you can knock on.
Feels real, doesn't it?
Feels real, but if it's not, but the idea that it's not is for some strange reason disconcerting.
Well, yeah, I'm sure it should be disconcerting, because then if this is not real, what is?
Right.
But the there's that old sort of thought experiment of like, how do you know you're not a brain in a vat? Right now, here's the thing: you are a brain in a vat, and that vat is your skull.
Yes.
And everything you see, feel, hear, everything, all your senses are electrical signals. Everything is an electrical signal to a brain in a vat, where the vat is your skull.
And all your hormones, all your neurotransmitters, all these things are drugs. Adrenaline's a drug. Dopamine's a drug.
Sure.
You're a drug factory. You're
Sure.
constantly changing your state with love and oxytocin and beauty.
Sure.
Changes your state. Great music changes your state.
Absolutely. And yet, here's another sort of interesting idea, which is, because you say, like, where did consciousness arise? Well, assuming you believe the belief in physics, which appears to be true, then the universe started off as basically quarks and leptons, and quickly became hydrogen and helium, lithium, like basically elements of the periodic table. But it was like mostly hydrogen, basically. And then over a long period of time, 13.8 billion years later, that hydrogen became sentient. So where along the way where is consciousness? What's the line of consciousness and not consciousness between hydrogen and here?
Right. When do we call it? When do we call it consciousness? Yeah. I was watching a video today that we played on a podcast earlier of a monkey riding a motorcycle down the street, jumps off the motorcycle and tries to steal a baby.
Yeah, so that one. It went viral.
What is that monkey conscious? It seems like it is. It seems like it had a plan. It was riding a fucking motorcycle and then jumped off the motorcycle to try to steal a baby. Seems pretty...
The one that just dragged baby down the street pretty far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seems pretty conscious. Right?
There's definitely some degree of consciousness there.
Yeah, it's not a worm. It seems to be on another level. Yeah. And it's going to keep going. And that's the real concern when people think about the potential future versions of human beings, especially when you consider symbiotic relationship to artificial intelligence that will be unrecognizable, that one day we'll be so far removed from what this is. We'll look back on this the way we look back now on, simple organisms that we evolved from. And that it won't be that far in the future that we do have this view back.
Well, I hope consciousness propagates into the future and gets more sophisticated and complex, and that it understands the questions to ask about the universe.
Do you think that's the case? As a human being, as yourself, you're clearly trying to make conscious decisions to be a better version of you, right? This is the idea of like getting rid of your possessions and realizing that you're trying to, like, I don't like this, I will try to improve this. I will try to do a better version of the way I interface with reality. That this is always the way things are. If you're moving in a skull cap in place of the top of your head, and it's interfacing with the international language that the rest of the universe now enjoys communication with people. And
Yeah, sure, I think so. Yeah, I like that part.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Kyle Kalinske sent me something today. I wanted you to see, Jamie. It's there's some shit going down with UFO sightings.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I've been before.
Well, yeah,
I
but
don't know that they were new.
I'm not going to get into UFOs, but if you sit back and you consider that technology with AI, with the cure, with social credit score, with the Black Mirror, with this idea of robot soldiers and all that nonsense, you know, knowing that they'll never get an AI in time, the only thing they can do is get us.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Fundamentally.
well,
And
let's
you
talk about
basically have a picture of the future. They're literally trying to create a slave planet. But hang on, I gotta show you something else. Something else blew my mind this morning. Right here, Max Kaiser.
This song leads for zero down.
Max
Zero first
Kaiser.
month's payment.
Always listen to what the banks are up to.
Max Kaiser, this is Kaiser.
He had a fantastic investment banker. Pay
The
attention.
reports.
The world is run on power and control. It's always about money, 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 money. Focus on that. You can ignore what's happening on television until something like this happens. Just take a listen to this.
Summer solutions. That's right. We talk about problems all year, and then summertime we come up with all the solutions. Now today we're being joined by banker turned Bitcoin entrepreneur Simon Dixon of Bank to the Future, long-term friend of this show.
I'm sorry, he's going to announce his name. No, I'm shaking my head like we were talking. Angela said human robot. Yes. Yes. They can't get AI to do what they need it to do, right? So the only way to interface robots at an efficient level is with human beings, right? And so that's what the whole neural, and that's not what Elon Musk is using it for, right? There's a whole greater play. He's got his thing, and I want to help, disabled people, and you can believe that or not believe that, that's fine. But he's one piece, and there are a lot of other pieces. Here's the banking piece.
And as way of a bit of an introduction, his book, Bank to the Future, came out roughly 10 years ago. It actually predicted a major crisis in 2020, was almost clairvoyant in how accurate that prediction was. Simon has also recently gone on record that he believes that central banks will go directly to people and bypass the banks with their money printing. That's now being discussed in the highest circles of banking. This is an amazing prediction that was made recently, but
An amazing prediction, but the name of the video I want to say, so it is the Kaiser report, but this is bankers will protest in the streets.
Simon, he's the first, he's the best investment banker in Bitcoin, in crypto. So really a seminal character in the whole industry. Simon, I wanted to get started. First of all, welcome.
Thanks for having me. No one gives an introduction like Kaiser Report. Thanks, Max.
Well, it's well deserved. Now, the front page of The Economist magazine says free money. In 1 month, the United States printed more money than it had in 200 years. How much longer can this money printer go burr before the whole thing collapses?
Well, that's the debate that's going to be had right now. So all of a sudden, as I said, we talked about this in 2010, that fiat money is ruined. So you might as well have the governments create as much of it as they like. And thank God a competing money supply came along like Bitcoin. So now you've got these three different forms of competing money coming along. You've got modern monetary theory whereby the governments just create all the money. You've got the middle system, which is what we've had for the last decades, which is fractional reserve banking, where the banks create it privately. It's like a hybrid quasi-capitalist free market stroke crony capitalist regulated environment, which drives everyone into debt. And then you've got private money. The next question is, do we have deflation or do we have inflation? And that's really dependent upon who creates the money at the fastest rate. So money is being destroyed as all these businesses default on their debt, consumers default on their debt. And so the governments have to try and create the money at a faster rate. And if they do successfully create it at a faster rate than the number of defaults, then you could end up with asset price deflation and consumer price inflation, which seems to be the trend that we're heading towards with all this modern monetary theory.
The consequence of all that money printing, and as you mentioned, they're having to print faster and faster, is the creation of the cantillionaire class. Those who are benefiting from the 0%, the free money from the Fed, those who are closest to the Fed, versus those furthest away from the Fed. And many of them are, of course, out protesting and rioting in the streets across the world at the moment. Do you see that as a causal and relationship there? Is it correlated? And how do you think this cantillionaire class might react to the collapse of this fiat system?
Or he answers, right? So it's good when they start saying the things that we've been saying for a while. You've got people protesting in the street. And I'm trying to package this in a way that I think about it because, well, RT puts it to you in their way. People are protesting in the street for the same damn reason. Same damn reason. They are pointing at the side effects, but they have the same cause, right? And we're going to talk about the cause. They just put Eamon Bundy in jail. He was protesting. Black Lives Matter was mad at him. He's mad at them or whatever. We won't go through the details. But the bottom line, it's the same damn thing they're protesting. But they're so turned against each other that they can't even see it. And what Pat was talked about, so the bankers in the street protesting, they'll be in the streets protesting, yeah. So will the upper middle class and the upper class with the lower class. And we said that last week. So all of that's coming, not the central banks, right? Not the powerful banks, not the ones that are printing the currency, but the local banks, right? And this is the fantastic thing about our time is you're taking 99% and they all have the same foe if they can figure it out. So let them talk to you.
Yeah, so when money creation is created by a private bank as debt, and governments create less and less money, which is the money that they create as cash and coins, you get one of the consequences of that is one of the biggest rich-poor divides, which is what we've experienced, which is you're pushing consumers into debt in order to save the economy. So they take on ever increasing levels of debt in order to try and get, to beat the inflation. They're all trying to speculate on real estate, which is driving them greater and greater into debt as their mortgage repayment doesn't cover their income. So each and every month, month on month, they're going greater into debt. And yet those that are the closest to the cheap money, the consumers are borrowing on credit cards and payday loans and paying extortionate interest rates, as you've always covered. But those that are the richest and wealthiest and control the most assets can actually get access to this very cheap credit, and they can use it for asset price inflation. So companies will use it to pop up their stock prices, and you end up with this rich-poor divide where the money's being used to prop up the rich's assets, and the consumers and the other class are all going deeper and deeper into debt. And so you just end up with this greatest redistribution of wealth that we've ever seen.
Ever since Occupy Wall Street, there's been a lot of activism and protests on the street kind of focused on banks, and banks became the subject of a lot of these protests. Do you think we'll ever see a time when all those protests around the world, we call it the global insurrection against banker occupation, but do you think the rallying cry from the street from some point?
Hang on. What was his word? Because it was pretty, the phrase. a revolution against. Let me take it back. He said, I think I quoted him this morning. It was fantastic what he just said. But that's why people are protesting. They don't know why they're protesting. They're protesting the side effects of a system that doesn't work. But this is a revolution against a global banking.
Protests on the street kind of focused on banks, and banks became the subject of a lot of these protests. Do you think we'll ever see a time when all those protests around the world, we call it the global insurrection against banker occupation?
The global insurrection against banker occupation. That is what you need to focus on. That's why Lavoy Finicom was shot. That's why all these people, these black folks are being shot. That's why you don't own anything. That's why the bankers are being in the street. That's why they printed the stimulus money. You literally have a fiat banking system that does not work, and it never will work, which is why they need to blame it on the virus. They'll blame it on Bigfoot if they could. They'll blame it on the aliens. They choose the virus. Why? Because they need you to say this was an accident. It wasn't their fault. If you don't actually focus on what the problem is, if you don't call out what the problem is, then they can just bring the problem back, right? Like that, because that's what they want. They just want to stay in power. The politicians are fools. The politicians are being told what to say. They're taking the lobbyists' money. They're being told what to say to keep their jobs while getting rid of your job and your business, right? If you don't focus on what the problem is, it is an absolute guarantee. They're just going to reset it and give you a fiat crypto digital currency based in the same fiat system that'll either fail, and it doesn't really matter what happens in the next 150 years when this one fails, we'll all be robots.
But do you think the rallying cry from the street from some point will be to stop printing, right? I mean, this is the opposite of what we have today, because people, particularly on the left side of the political equation, are demanding more printing, more subsidies, sharing, quote, sharing the wealth. But that's the problem, is they're printing too much. Do you think the penny will ever drop, that they'll ever figure out that the problem is, please stop printing?
No, I don't think so, because the people that are protesting in the streets right now are talking about the inequality. And rather than actually focusing, the inequality is a symptom, but the problem is systemic. And so really for those people rioting in the streets to come to the realization that actually too much government printing when everyone's asking for more, businesses are asking for more, consumers are asking for more. We need you to now pay our mortgage. We need now you to pay our rent. You've shut down our businesses. We can't do anything. So it's quite right that they should be asking for more when the government's telling them that they can't have their living. But what they don't necessarily realize is that that can be the cause of the problem and the destruction of the system. Now, if they're so deep in debt, I guess that they really can benefit from their debts that they have to repay being cheaper in the future, or even a debt jubilee. So I think that they'll be crying for more and more money printing and the destruction of the system. But really, it reaches the point where the debt is so great that the rich need to be concerned now. And that's really what I think that we're going to see next. And I think we're actually going to see bankers protesting in the streets against central banks that are about to let them go bust. The governments won't give them the bailouts. They won't necessarily be able to bail in. And so the bankers, I think, are going to be protesting in the streets when the central banks actually print all this money and start offering retail banking direct to consumers through financial technology companies, is what I think we're seeing next.
You know, that's kind of a genius point, really. And it's in keeping with what we're saying here. And remember, going back to Occupy Wall Street, the bankers upstairs on the office towers on Wall Street were throwing money out the window, you know, thinking they're immune from what's happening with all this two-tier money printing that you've described. And as you point out now, we're at a point where the central banks, if they go direct through to the people using financial technology, we call it cryptocurrencies exactly, a token from the central bank, they're going to put these banks out of business. The HSBC stock just hit a new all-time low. And, you know, and one of these big banks, like that did in 2008, could go belly up. You know, we saw Lehman go belly up, Bear Stearns went under. Northern Rock in the UK went under. It started the whole stampede of 2008. We could see HSBC or Deutsche Bank go under, a huge avalanche. And what you're saying is no bail-ins this time, no bailouts. We're just going to cut you off completely, and we're going to have bankers in the three-piece suits doing on the street, joining the global insurrection against central bank occupation. I think that could very well happen. Let's talk about the U.S. dollar for a second. You know, it is the world reserve currency, and there's a lot going on here. A lot of question marks surrounding this. Your thoughts?
Yeah, well, I think what we're going to see next is a 1944 style Bretton Woods agreement monetary renegotiation. And so I think that obviously the US will get a seat at the table as they did in the previous monetary renegotiations. And they're going to obviously try and keep the strength of the dollar. Until the dollar is not worth anything, then it is still the strongest currency out there. In terms of fiat money, I'd rather have dollars than anything else at the moment. So, the fact that 70% of all debt and transactions are all US dollars, and 50% of transactions actually happen in US dollars, means that everyone's got an incentive to keep it alive. They're exporting a lot of their inflation through the People's Bank of China to China, who obviously have monetary controls. They are lending a lot of money to the US, and they have to swap in all those US dollars that they receive for Chinese yuan, leading that they have to print a lot of money, and they're trying to figure out where they're putting it. But really, I think the seat at the table of all these large super currencies and countries is going to be how much gold they have. And so that's essentially why the countries with the largest gold to GDP ratios are the ones that are going to have a seat at the table. That's Germany for Europe, that's Russia, that's China, who we don't fully know how much they got, but we know they've been accumulating more than they're saying, and US as well.
So this race to the bottom, as you point out, in the fiat money world, the fractional banking world, to print this money to try to export your way to GDP growth has created this perverse incentive system where countries are trying to outprint each other. But gold is not having it. Gold is not fooled. Gold's hitting new all-time highs in every major currency, including now the U.S. dollar. Against this backdrop, we saw the insanity of negative interest rates. And that, up until recently, was considered a financial impossibility. This never appeared in any financial textbook in history. And we also saw negative energy prices as well. But putting that aside for a second, negative interest rates, you've been in the business now many, many years. And how does that fit into your model?
Well, negative interest rates are just a way of discouraging savings for for those that don't have access to the QE money. Those that have access to the QE money can be on the right side of negative interest rates, and those that don't have access, essentially they're saying, please don't save any of your money. We want you to spend it. We want you to be broke, and we want you to borrow. We need more money in the system. We need you to borrow more money. And so please don't have a pension. Please don't have a retirement plan. Please don't save. We're going to penalize all of that. And the smart strategy for anyone in this economy is take on as much debt and hope for a debt jubilee, because that's where everything's headed. So, negative interest rates are just a signal to the world. Please don't save. We don't want you to.
Good point. All right. Well, we're going to continue this discussion after the break. Simon Dixon, Bank to the Future, the bank, the platform, and the book, heading into its second decade. A must read. Don't go away. More with Simon after the break.
If my man was wearing this, I would be all over him.
That smells really good.
It smells like my guy's cologne.
Okay.
It smells really good, yeah.
Smells
really
good.
sexy. Oh, that smells really good. I would use it, but if a guy smelled like that too, I'd be like, oh, I would use this on myself.
Welcome back to Kaiser Report Summer Solutions with Max and Stacy. Right on cue, the storm clouds have moved in. A bit of a foreboding as we talk to Simon Dixon about the immediate future, banks, central banks, and cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, and what people can expect. Now, Simon, getting back to our discussion, wanted to hit a couple of points here that get your thoughts on.
Hang on. So, a couple things. No, you don't need a banking course. You definitely don't need a banking course. This has been done before, in a way, right? In a way. Where do you put your money? What do you do? Put your money in a place where it will maintain its value. That's like the whole thing. You don't have to understand banking. All you have to do is look at what they're doing. They're reevaluating everybody's currency to fit in with the digital dollar that we talked about a few days ago, right? People can go out and read the legislation, or you can just look at what people speculate. But understand that the nations that are printing the most currencies right now are the ones that are going to be on the bottom. That is not where you want your money to be. You want your money to be in something tangible, something with value. And I don't think you have to study banking to be able to, process that. And I don't give any recommendations on where to put your money. Like I said, that's a horrible thing to do. Anybody who wants to jump into a panel after this, let me know. If you want to drop 2 cents, send me in the box.
Paul Tudor Jones, very famous hedge fund manager. I've been following him for decades. He's put $100 million into Bitcoin futures contracts. He says Bitcoin is the fastest horse in the race. This is obviously now institutional money pouring into Bitcoin. Maybe just for the audience, explain, because I hear a lot of people saying, well, those are Bitcoin futures contracts, they don't count. But Simon, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think we are headed in the same direction as gold, where there are going to be paper versions of Bitcoin. But you have to remember, and we're going to see during this Great Depression of 2020, that there is a difference between gold and paper gold. We're already starting to see the absolute scarcity. The reason we're reaching new time highs is because people want their physical gold. People want their gold close to them, and the smart people are getting their gold close to them. And so all these paper contracts where...
I need to add to that something to be real quick, because the other thing to also remember is that everybody tells you what they want you to know so they can also profit on what they know, to a degree, in the whole financial banking aspect. So of course he's going to tell you to get your goal and keep it close to you. And I know a lot of people who do that as well. Let me ask you a question. What happens in a state of emergency if you live in the United States of America and you've got a couple tons of gold in your basement? Do you think that gold is going to stay in your basement? Like they talked about, when China, Russia, America, Britain, everyone gets together, okay, how much gold do you have? IMF, whoever does that, we're going to reevaluate the currencies. Do you think America is going to sit back and just say, you know what, Lynn got all that gold in her basement, and we love Lynn Marie. We just did Beaufort Savant. We see the records. He's got half a ton in his basement. We don't really need that. We're gonna let him keep it. If you think America's gonna do that, you're in trouble. And I'm not trying to scare anybody who has silver, gold, and all that stuff. There's a reason why it's important to read the law. You would realize with the NDAA Act, the NDAA and Obama did this for us, but he didn't do it. He was told to do it. Everything you own is theirs. Everything you own is theirs. Everything you own is theirs. All the doomsday prepper, your guns, your bullets, your silver, your house, your car, your kids, all of that. They own all of it. This is why I say, make America break again. Because the United States incorporation needs to be broken. You are a commodity to them, and everything that you own is a commodity. They will take every last drop of your gold when it's time to compare with Russia and China and the rest of the other nations who are vying for a top seat, worshiping at the Rothschilds and Rockefeller's table. This is why it's important to know the law. So what do we do? I have no idea what you're gonna do. I know what I'm gonna do. I have no idea what you're gonna do. Land has value, solar panels, food, water, like those things have some value. Your gold, your money, I know. Yeah, listen, the thing you gotta ask yourself is, out of that millions of dollars that you have, how much of it wasn't blood money? That's maybe. All right, let me stop. Because I actually some people here with some money. You just gotta be smart with your money. Be smart with it. Think about your neighbors. Think about what they need. Think about your community. Think about getting some land, getting some people to work that land, perhaps. Building value, real physical value that the government does not want to take. Gold and silver, you can hang that up. Hang that up. And I want to hear what he has to say about Bitcoin real quick. I'm not a cryptocurrency guy, not a Bitcoin guy, only because when they revalue the currencies, they're going to do what they want to do. They own the systems that you operate Bitcoin on. They own the governments and the countries that can do anything they want to do. And this is one of the Beaufort quotes. Right? It's not a quote, but they have the authority. We gave them that authority. We can't blame anybody but ourselves. We gave them that authority. They can do anything they want with Bitcoin at any point in time. So cryptocurrencies are interesting, but at the end of the day, we don't have the say.
There's not enough gold to actually back all of these paper contracts creates a scarcity in the underlying asset. I think we're going through a similar situation in Bitcoin. The big trend right now is DeFi, and that's a lot of on-chain yielding products and financial products. But really, the central.
Okay, actually, I don't want to go too far with that. There's one more thing I'm going to show you, and then I think we'll do some commentaries, or we'll go straight to a panel. Anybody who wants to get on a panel after party and talk about these bits. There's one other place I want to take you. Oh, the U.S. Oh, by the way, this is interesting. Oh, you know what? 2 more places I want to take. Hold on. What is that? Greece? Istanbul? No, actually, I do want to go to Turkey, but
with Rick Sanchez.
Hi, everybody. Once again, I'm Rick Sanchez, and I want to welcome all of you who are
U.S. sends warships to
watching us from all over the world, including those of you who are watching us on your phones using the portable TV app. We begin today with a conflict that appears to be heating up between 2 countries, Turkey and Greece. The conflict is about oil and gas rights in the Mediterranean. Now, here, let me try and explain it to you this way. Turkey says it has the right to explore for energy resources for its people and has actually sent in survey vessels escorted by warships to that area that you see right there on the map. Greece, for its part, is calling Turkey's action, quote, illegal. And there's even been a minor collision between 2 of the country's frigates already in open waters. What makes this story so odd is that both Turkey and Greece are members of NATO. And this is not sitting well with other European countries, including Cyprus, that you see there on the map as well, where the oil and gas reserves are actually found right off their coast. Of course, this is also raising questions about Turkey's so-called neo-Ottoman ambitions. Turkey say they are simply being defensive to protect their own citizens, but European watchers say what's really happening with Turkey is that President Erdogan is concerned about internal stability and territorial integrity, which is why he's willing to take on, it seems, all regional rivals of late. But the question is, to what end, right? To what end? Let's look at this here on the News with Rick Sanchez, where we believe it's time to do news again.
There's e-commerce. And there's e-commerce the experts use. Web experts count on network solutions for the tools they need to succeed online. Now get 30% off site-wide. Terms and conditions apply. Network solutions. Use what the experts use.
My mother's on trial for killing my father. I want to hire you. $500K. She needs to come home.
You raised that kid?
That boy loves his mother.
This is my legacy.
Boy, be very careful of who you accuse of being a criminal.
What have you gotten me into? I can't fail. This is my legacy.
You think you're smarter than me?
Let's get to it. Here's the questions we think you'll be asking after watching our newscast today. How far will Turkey go in its conflict with Greece and the EU to drill, baby, drill? What does it say to the rest of us that Warren Buffett is suddenly buying lots of gold? And why are countries run by females having fewer COVID-19 deaths than those that are run by males? Let the argument begin. All right, we're going to begin tonight with breaking news on our top story. We have just learned, literally, before, as I was preparing this newscast and getting ready to come out here and talk to you, that the U.S. military now, keyword, U.S. military, has now sent warships into this area with this conflict. It proves, by the way, that this conflict seems to be getting even more heated. Turkey says it means no malice. That's the word they use. But Greece and 8 other countries in the region say they're not so sure. These countries include Cyprus, Syria, Lebanon, Jordan, Israel, Palestine, Egypt, and Libya. All have some kind of claim to those waters that Turkey wants to drill in. Here to explain the conflict first is RT correspondent Alex Mihailovich.
Crystal clear waters, exploited for what lies below. According to the 2010 U.S. Geological Survey, an estimated 1.7 billion barrels of oil and 3.5 trillion cubic meters of gas can be found in the eastern Mediterranean's Levant Basin province, never mind nearby waters. The massive reserves have prompted Cyprus, Greece, Israel, Egypt, Turkey, and others in the area to tap into the sea. However, a disputed maritime territory in the region has created tensions between Greece and its neighbor, Turkey. In July, Turkey announced that it was going to send a survey ship to the waters off the coast of a Greek island in the area. The plan was seemingly brought to an end when the U.S. and France both sent their navy to the region to conduct military exercises with the Greeks. Shortly after, though, the Turkish ship hit the water anyway, and adding to tensions, it was flanked by 5 Turkish naval vessels. While some say Turkey's actions have stemmed from the country's feeling left out as its neighbors form alliances in the region,
We don't have designs on anyone's rights, but we won't let any country take away our rights.
according to Greece, Turkey is acting aggressively.
The obsession over unlawfulness doesn't produce justice. It affirms Turkey's destabilizing role in the region. It affirms its lack of argumentation.
Turkey, however, seems determined to continue its exploratory mission, and some say it may be more out of desperation than aggression. Currently, Turkey is experiencing energy issues. The nation is heavily reliant on Russian oil and gas, and technical problems with shared pipelines have cut the flow, making that fact more evident than ever. Add that the US and EU seem to be siding with Greece in the dispute. Many believe Turkey has been pushed into a corner and is lashing out. Right now, US Navy vessels have joined others from the European Union and Russia, raising concerns that tensions in the area could quickly escalate, possibly setting off a powder keg in the Eastern Mediterranean, while creating a dangerous crack in NATO. For News with Rick Sanchez, I'm Alex Mihailovich.
To drill down on this, because it's kind of complicated, a part of the world many of us don't often pay attention to. Joining us now for this discussion is former UK MP George Galloway, also the director at the Arab Center for Research and Policy Studies, Marwan Kabalan. Marwan, let me start with you. Can you help us try to understand, since you are really the quintessential expert on this story, who seems to be correct in their argument here among all these countries that I named, and more precisely or definitively between Greece and Turkey?
Well, it's very difficult actually to say who is correct, because I believe it's not a matter of being correct or wrong. This is a conflict, in my opinion, in which each country of the region is trying to get as much as it can from the oil and gas resources of the East Mediterranean basin. But the fact is, this is how I see it, is Turkey, it feels very much being isolated by a group of countries in the region. Don't forget that in early 2019, Egypt, Israel, Jordan, Greece, Cyprus, they established the East Med Gas Forum. Turkey was the only country in the East Mediterranean, plus, of course, Syria and Lebanon, but that is a different issue because Israel is a member to this forum now that is related to the Arab-Israeli conflict. But Turkey is the only country that is having a relationship with Israel that has been excluded from joining this forum. And Turkey feels very much like being sidelined by these countries. There is like an alliance between all these countries to keep Turkey at bay and prevent Turkey actually from having its share from the cake in the east of the Mediterranean. So Turkey here, I feel, is on one hand in a very defensive position. On the other hand, Turkey, which in my opinion does have some regional ambitions, which is fed by the vacuum that has been created by the United States in the region, feels like it should need its own independent gas and oil resources, because Turkey is relying so far on Russia and Iran, and the two countries are not, at the end of the day, they are not friends of Turkey, because there are so many problems between Turkey and Russia, between Turkey and Iran, in Syria, in Libya, and other places. So Turkey would want actually to have like an independent energy resources of its own. So this is how I can put it briefly at the position.
I think I understand, and one comes away with the sense, George Galloway, that when it comes to Turkey, President Erdogan will do whatever he can when he can. Some would almost call that a macho attitude over here in the States. Do you see that as well?
Yes, I mean, it's a pity that God put Turkey's oil under other people's land and water. To paraphrase Donald Rumsfeld some time ago, it may well be that Turkey needs its independent source of oil and gas, but it doesn't have it, and that doesn't entitle it to take other people's. And that's what it's doing now, a policy which unites Syria, Lebanon, Israel, and Palestine against you is obviously a very flawed policy. And they're now almost at war.
Okay, so I'm gonna stop there real quick. So you can watch the rest of it. I don't want to play the whole thing. There's one other thing I want to get to. The whole point is this: when an empire collapses, there's always a vacuum. Right? History. I love history. Right? When an empire is in collapse, there's always a power vacuum. Right? That's what this is. Power vacuum. You go through the details. I'll post a link. You're going to see this all over the world. You're going to see a run all over the world. If you actually think that America, Britain, and all the NATO allies being brought to their knees and being paddled like a little petulant child by central bankers, and nobody is going to respond in our point of weakness, like, the lion is on his back, belly exposed, and you don't think all of everyone who wants to gain power, money, land, isn't going to act, you're foolish. This is why I'm saying that we don't have time for the face diaper stuff. We don't have time. You want to say, hey, grandma, you need to eat organic. You need to get some land, be smart, be wise, but we're flirting with World War III. Do one more stop and we'll see. Nope. One more stop, we'll go from there. A little bit of positivity. I mean, this is all positive. The truth is never negative. Actually, I'm gonna have to do this because I can't show the drawing.
Is a deeper question altogether, which is, what do you desire? What makes you itch? What sort of a situation would you like? Let's suppose, I do this often in vocational guidance of students. They come to me and say, well, we're getting out of college and we haven't the faintest idea what we want to do. So I always ask the question, what would you like to do if money were no object? How would you really enjoy spending your life?
How would you spend your life?
Well, it's so amazing. As a result of our kind of educational system, crowds of students say, well, we'd like to be painters, we'd like to be poets, we'd like to be writers, but as everybody knows, you can't earn any money that way. Or another person says, well, I'd like to live an out-of-doors life and ride horses. I say, do you want to teach in a riding school? Let's go through with it. What do you want to do? When we finally got down to something which the individual says he really wants to do, I will say to him, you do that. And forget the money. Because if you say that getting the money is the most important thing, you will spend your life completely wasting your time. You'll be doing things you don't like doing in order to go on living, that is, to go on doing things you don't like doing, which is stupid.
Stupid.
Better to have a short life that is full of what you like doing than a long life spent in a miserable way.
Amen, church.
And after all, if you do really like what you're doing, it doesn't matter what it is, you can eventually turn it, you can eventually become a master of it. It's the only way to become a master of something, to be really with it. And then you'll be able to get a good fee for whatever it is. So don't worry too much. Somebody's interested in everything. And anything you can be interested in, you'll find others who are. But it's absolutely stupid to spend your time doing things you don't like in order to go on spending things you don't like and doing things you don't like, and to teach your children to follow in the same track. See, what we're doing is we're bringing up children and educating them to live the same sort of lives we're living, in order that they may justify themselves and find satisfaction in life by bringing up their children, to bring up their children to do the same thing. So it's all wretch and no vomit. It never gets there.
Shadow.
And so, therefore, it's so important to consider this question: what do I desire? To create girls that don't grow old, apples that don't rot, clothes that never wear out, conveyances that get from one place to another instantly so we don't have to wait, power available to do anything that you could conceive and do it just instantly like that, to get this funny technological omnipotence. But if you take time out to think about that and really go into it with your full strength of imagination and find out whether that's where you want to be, you will soon see that's not what you want. Because the moment you have a situation where you are really in control of things, that is to say, in which the future is almost completely predictable, you will see, as I said last night, that a completely predictable future is already the past. You've had it. And that's not what you wanted. You want a surprise. You don't know what that's going to be, because obviously it wouldn't be a surprise if you did. You want a pleasant surprise. But like you say, what sort of a surprise would be pleasant? And you can't really answer that. Because you know, if there are to be such things as pleasant surprises, there must also be unpleasant surprises. There must be rude shocks. So you're like somebody taking one of those wishing well boxes, tubs, where you fish in and you bring out a package. And you don't know whether you've got a dead rat in it or a new camera. And that's the way, that seems to be the thing that really excites people. But quite certainly there comes out of this inquiry a feeling of real disillusionment with the ideal of power. To be in power, to be in control, is not something that any sensible person wants. Now you may say that's shirking responsibility. That if you were a really responsible person, you would go out for power and try to use power to the best possible advantage for the benefit of all. All right, what would be the benefit of all? Ask them. What do you want me to do with this power? I'm dictator. What would you like me to do? Well, nobody knows, because they haven't thought it through. They think of all sorts of short-range things, and they are largely conflicting and confusing, because they're not well thought out. But again, when it finally comes down to it, nobody wants to be God. Now, I think that this is the greatest possible lesson for the Western world to learn, because we are so hung up on the idea of power, of control, of being able to make everything go the right way, and we've never thought it through. When you get control of it, what are you going to do with it? And so when you think things through like that, you understand you do not want power. You don't want to control it. And therefore, in the exploration of what you want, you get to the point where having all pleasures at your command, and they pall, and you think of new sources of pleasure. And eventually you get like the ancient Romans, who had all these mad crowds of barbarians who had to go every Saturday to the Colosseum for a show that really had to surpass everything. Because they had public baths, they had prostitutes, they had every kind of luxury.
Sounds like us.
But when they went to see one of the big shows that people like Nero put on, they would have, for example, floats circling the Colosseum, all full of slave girls from distant parts of the Mediterranean, garlanded with flowers and waving at the crowd and going innocently around. And the next minute they would release wild lions into the arena to eat up all the slave girls. They got a big sadistic kick out of that. Because you see, pursuing pleasure beyond a certain place takes you into what the Buddhists call the Naraka world, that is to say, the hells. When you have explored pleasure to its ultimate limit, the only thing you can get a kick out of is pain. So naturally, you descend from the Deva world at the top of the wheel to the Naraka world at the bottom, where it shows all these beings in states of torture. You get to the hell world as a result of not knowing what you want. As a result of thoughtless pursuit of pleasure, which ends you eventually in the pursuit of pain. So when you're in the hell world, that's where you want to be. So when I ask, I go right down to the question, which we started with. What do I want?
What do you want?
The answer is, I don't know. When Bodhidharma was asked, who are you? Which is another form of the same question. He said, I don't know. Planting flowers to which the butterflies come. Bodhidharma says, I know not. I don't know what I want. Well, when you don't know what you want, you've reached the state of desirelessness. When you really don't know. But you see, there's a beginning stage of not knowing, and there's an ending stage of not knowing. In the beginning stage, you don't know what you want because you haven't thought about it, or you've only thought superficially. Then when somebody forces you to think about it and go through and say, yeah, I think I'd like this, I think I'd like that, I think I'd like the other, that's the middle stage. Then you get beyond that. Say, is that what I really want? In the end you say, no, I don't think that's it. I might be satisfied with it for a while, and I wouldn't turn my nose up at it, but it's not really what I want. Why don't you really know what you want? 2 reasons that you don't really know what you want. Number 1, you have it. Number 2, you don't know yourself, because you never can. The Godhead is never an object of its own knowledge. Just as a knife doesn't cut itself, fire doesn't burn itself, light doesn't illumine itself. It's always an endless mystery to itself. I don't know. And this I don't know, uttered in the infinite interior of the spirit, this I don't know is the same thing as I love, I let go, I don't try to force or control. It's the same thing as humility. Any time you, as it were, voluntarily let up control, in other words, cease to cling to yourself, you have an access of power. Because you're wasting energy all the time in self-defense, trying to manage things, trying to force things to conform to your will. The moment you stop doing that, that wasted energy is available. Therefore, you are, in that sense, having that energy available, you are one with the divine principle. You have the energy. When you're trying, however, to act as if you were God, that is to say, you don't trust anybody and you're the dictator and you have to keep everybody in line, you lose the divine energy. Because what you're doing is simply defending yourself. So then, the principle is, the more you give it away, the more it comes back.
All right. I'm not sure how much you could hear or couldn't hear. Sounds like y'all said it was cutting out. So I'll post the link. You can watch it. It all fits together. I mean, this is everything that we've always talked about, right? If you don't know what you want, you'll end up where the powerful people want to take you. And so right now, in a state of collapse that we're in, where the bankers are reevaluating the currency, dictating how the world is going to be, the power vacuums that we see, we have to figure out what we want. Right? Because right now, the vast majority, they want to go back to the old normal, and the others want to go along with the billionaires' new normal. So we got to know what we want. Otherwise, we're going to get what someone else has already prepared for us. We're going to do a panel after this. So it's like a few people want to do a panel and just let y'all have a bit of a discussion. I think that's the format that I want to kind of move towards, just to kind of present something, and I don't want to dominate the conversation over the comments, and we'll go back over the comments in just a few minutes once I end the video, and then we'll start a new one on YouTube and Facebook. You gotta think about what we want, people. We're going into a bold, new, undiscovered country where man had never gone before. Most people are just enjoying themselves, sharks down below, and they're not looking beneath. They think that everything's gonna go back to normal. They think that, it's election year. They think a virus is out there trying to get them. And there's a whole lot more happening beneath the surface if you're willing to look. Which is why I love this avatar picture behind me. All right. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wrap it up, and we're gonna just fire up another one. I can't do a seamless end and restart. It'll be an after party, after discussion, whatever we end up calling it. I tell you what I want. If I answer the question, because I asked y'all the question, if I had it my way, I'd literally walk around the planet and plant seeds. That's what I would do if I had my way. Money for an option. I would plant seeds that produce fruits that I'd never see. That's what I would do. And I would do it because it's the right thing to do. I think that we all are seed planters. We all got seeds, and we could be planting seeds. I'm kind of talking about plants and not. Right? Like, we always get so consumed with seeing the results of love that we put out. We don't get consumed with seeing the results. And I think I need to more evolve in a direction of just being that person that knows that this is going to do good, so I'm just going to go ahead and do it. I'm going to go ahead and do it because it's the right thing to do. And so it applies to everybody today, and what you're doing, what you're protesting for. You can dig deeper. You got money. You got land. If you're looking out for your neighbors, looking out for yourself. You want to bring back the old normal or bring new normal. You realize at a certain point in time that neither is actually in the best interest of people that you'll never meet, perhaps your grandkids, great grandkids. I would be a seed planter. All right, I'm gonna shut this down. Give me 5 minutes. We'll restart. Take a coffee break, tea break, whatever you need. And then we'll go back and have a discussion of the comments. If you want to join in the panel after party to have a discussion, just send me a PM and I'll send you the link. I can only do 4 though. You guys have a great day. The rest